Grabbing the holidays by the boughs with Duluth. Step 1. Hire a mall Santa to handle snow removal.
Ho, ho, ho! My sciatica!
Step 2. Hit Duluth Trading and load up on fire hose pants, buck naked underwear, pocket pack bibs, free swinging flannel, and all kinds of ingenious gear you won't find anywhere else. Grab the holidays by the boughs and shop Duluth Trading. Online and in store.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
And now, for a quick break, brought to you by my brand sponsor, HOMER. Hi, this is Kanika Gupta, founder and host of That's Total Mom Sense.
I'm Stephanie Dua, president and co-founder of HOMER.
And this is At Home
with HOMER. HOMER is the essential early learning program for kids aged 2 to 8. We have the most comprehensive app available for early learning skills that you can find on iOS or Google Play. And you can also find our really fun Explore kits that help kids with their math, their reading, and social emotional learning that you can find on our website, learnwithhomer.com.
On this weekly segment, we're going to cover a range of topics from raising confident readers to developing emotional intelligence.
These are the skills that will carry your child through school and life and resonate most when taught at home by you, their most important teacher.
So grab a notepad, your phone, or your mental notebook to remember the tips shared during this segment. And now on to At Home with Homer. Homer! Now we're going to talk about summer and structure. So summer is officially underway. School is out. The warm weather is here. And we have longer days to enjoy being out and enjoy the sun. And after over a year living in this pandemic, I think we all feel a sense of freedom now that we're in the summertime. Stephanie, we've talked about kind of finding that perfect harmony when it comes to play and learning, but I want you to kind of dive in deeper on tips that you can share with families on embracing freedom and flexibility when it comes to summer without losing structure, because we do kind of have to have some sort of schedule in place with younger kids.
I love how you put it, freedom and flexibility. I think that's the perfect framework for the summer. So I can relate to this personally. You know, we always have this moment where like, what do we do with all the kids now? And now the routine that we had is not in place. Here's what I like to say, which is like, it doesn't have to be that radically different than what your life was like when the kids were in school. Now with COVID, everything's a little bit jumbled, everything's a little bit different. But I think it's important for children to have some sense of structure. I don't think it needs to be rigid. I think the structure needs to be how you framed it, with some structure, but there's some freedom within that so that they have some agency. Could be even roughly, this is what we do now in the morning. This is what we now do for lunch. This is what our afternoon nap is. This is our afternoon activity. And this is how we wind down after dinner at the end of the day. Having some rough sense of predictability for children so that as they're moving from one thing to the next, they know what is next. That can help with everything from tantrums to being overtired, that they can start to, cognitively understand what is happening and be able to modulate really their behavior accordingly. So that level of structure, I think, is great. But it's so important to make room for kids to take agency at all ages. So giving kids an opportunity for choice within that structure. Do you want to do this activity? Do you want to do that activity? Do you want to wear these socks today? Do you want to wear those socks today? Really starting to get them to think about their choices and have that agency is a very powerful thing for a small child. The third piece that moms often forget is that self-care is childcare.
A message from McAfee. Wondering why the post office is texting you or why you owe thousands of dollars in toll fees? Because someone's trying to scam you. The good news, McAfee can help. With McAfee's award-winning scam detection, it's easy to tell what's real and what's fake over text, in your inbox, and online. If they're
You want a free gift?
Seriously? If they're faking it, they're not making it past us. Get award-winning scam detection today. McAfee.com/keepitreal.
It's interesting in the summertime, when our own schedules get a little misaligned or we're afraid we're not going to have the time to do some of the things we're going to need, we put ourselves last. And I think it's really important for your children to see that you're taking care of yourself as part of the childcare. So whether it's a walk, exercise, sitting down and having lunch, not eating the scraps on the table after you've made a sandwich like we've all done.
I know, standing, yes.
Exactly. Just allowing your child to see that is incredible modeling behavior. You don't know how important that is for a child to say, oh, I'm a human, I'm a person, I have needs, and this is how my needs need to be met as well. It's a really important model. And then sometimes kids will say, I'm bored. And it's parents, often ask, what do you do when your child says, I'm bored? I think it's really important to frame why are you bored? And really allow the child to have some exploration instead of just giving them another activity, really allowing the child to figure out how do they problem solve their way out of boredom, and so that they can start to end up having that agency over time. So that's what I always like to recommend. A little bit of structure. You said it the best, which is some flexibility is really important, but also, having some freedom of choice.
Yes, absolutely. I wanted to kind of share my experience since we have had one pandemic-ridden summer, and I feel like we learned a lot of lessons from last year. We had a schedule in place, and after a few weeks, it was out the window because it's just not sustainable. And what we did do was carve out kind of time blocks on, okay, I know I want to kind of tire them out in the morning, and then they come home and have their lunch and potentially nap after that because we've been outdoors the first half of the day. And then your point about agency, I love this. So giving the children choices, I made flashcards, stick figures that I would draw on them because my younger ones can't read, but it would be, nature walk or blocks or painting, arts and crafts, whatever it was. And I said, so what do you guys want to do today? Pick a flashcard. And then they would decide. Water play, there were so many different choices that they had in front of them. So that definitely gave them that agency, and they loved picking their flashcards every day. Yeah.
That's a great suggestion. And all of those are learning moments. So, we can keep the learning alive in so many creative ways that allow children to really own some more independence in their life. And that's very rewarding for them.
Yes, yes. And then the last bit about self-care is childcare, also so important. It was just recently that my youngest, who's 2.5, saw me reading a book, because it's usually after hours that I do that whenever I feel I want to make that time. He was so curious and was like, what are you reading? And he's like picking up this hardbound book, no pictures. And, this is Mama's book. And I think they're very receptive to the fact that, yes, as parents, we have our own interests. We need to carve our own me time, and I think they're going to respect that when they're older. I think you can speak to this.
My oldest one, who's now amazingly starting to apply for college, said to me recently how much she appreciated that my husband and I really valued our own time. And so now she's really using that. She'll say, I have too much work. I need my me time. I need time just to sit and read a book. I need time to take a walk. I need time to, and that kind of when kids are really stressed in high school and taking all these exams, the fact that she can now recognize she has to take care of herself is by far more important than any other lesson I could give her, right?
Yes.
Because ultimately, that is the best gift, is that you're human and you have to learn how to take care of yourself ultimately.
Right. And the cues.
You're reading your body, and you're reading your own cues to when you need to regulate.
Exactly. Love it.
We hope you enjoyed this week's At Home with Homer segment. To download the app, visit learnwithhomer.com/momsense, MOMSENSE, to receive your very own 60-day free trial. Your kids are going to love playing the games, watching the visual stories, and more. Now, back to the interview.